everyone. Thank you for joining us for the Feminism and Family Studies section business meeting. We pre-recorded a segment of the business meeting that we would typically discuss at the meeting so that we can make sure we use the 1 hour that we have together at the conference for an icebreaker and celebrations and important discussions. We're very excited to see all of you at the annual conference meeting. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to do some brief introductions of our feminism section officers. We're going to go over a brief awards announcement that we'll spend more time with at the actual virtual section meeting. Liz will give the treasurer's report. I will highlight some of the unique and special sessions that come out of the feminism section this time, as well as giving you some of the submission trends around submissions to the feminism section. We will highlight the GLBTSA focus group, as well as an informal social event for celebrating Black Joy for Black NCFR members. And then we will introduce our section statement and call to action, discussing some of the actions that we've been taking, and also helping to think about and prepare for our discussions that we would like to be having at the annual conference. So just to get us started, just briefly introduce ourselves. My name is Megan Hazelschwart. I'm the chair of the Feminism Family Studies section. Dana Weiser is the chair-elect. Elizabeth Holman, or Liz, is the secretary-treasurer. Abby Goldberg is the past chair, so she previously served in the chair role. And then we have 2 excellent student and new professional representatives, Autumn and Sam. So hello, we're available for any questions, comments, gatherings of that sort of thing at the conference in the chat room. However you'd like to connect with us during the conference before and after. With that being said, we are accepting nominations for the 2021-2023 leadership team. So we will be in our leadership roles for the next year, but it is time to nominate yourself or nominate others. It's coming up quickly. We do have some individuals who've accepted nominations, but we're still looking for others to be nominated for section leadership, particularly in the roles of student and new professionals. These are all 2-year leadership positions, with the exception of the chair-elect position, which is actually 6 years. It just shifts. So you start as the chair-elect, then you're the chair, and then you're the past chair, so for the 2 years. But we really welcome all of you to consider nominating yourself or others. We're particularly interested in NCFR Feminism and Family Studies scholars from historically underrepresented groups and those who carry multiple marginalized identities and experiences. If you have any questions, please contact Abby Goldberg. Her email address is here. This is one of the duties of the past chair. Okay, so just as a reminder, the Feminism and Family Studies section meeting is Wednesday, November 11th from 5:15 to 6:15 Central Time Zone. So for those of you who are in Central Time Zone, this is going to be smooth sailing for you during the conference. But for those of us who are on other time zones, it's going to be important that we adjust our Google calendars or our own settings to understand that everything is in Central Time Zone on the calendar because this is technically being held in St. Louis, even though it's virtual, and they are on the Central Time Zone. So during our section meeting, we're going to try to keep as much normalcy as possible. We will not obviously be in your bedrooms, offices, kitchens to hand out buttons and stickers. So we encourage you to show up in all of your intersectional feminist flair that you can possibly put on yourselves, your screens, your virtual backgrounds. Let's create as much of a feminist, intersectional feminist space as we can. The student new professionals have created icebreakers that we will do in breakout rooms. We will do congrats, kudos, and announcements, which we'll return to how to go about doing that ahead of time at the end of this recording. We will spend time celebrating our award recipients for the section, and we're hoping to spend the majority or a substantial portion of our time in a discussion about our intersectional feminist statement and admonishment of anti-Black racism and a call to action. So we're really excited about a lively virtual session, as lively as we can be, even though we will not be together with stickers and expensive cheese sticks. Okay, so I'm going to turn things over to Dana, who's going to briefly introduce to you our award winners for this year.
Hi, well, I am thrilled to present our award winners. We will talk a little bit more and recognize our award winners at the actual live session as well. And we're also going to talk a little bit about some of the changes that we've made to the Jesse Bernard Awards process in support of our goal of making this to be a more inclusive and supportive space within our section. But right now, I want to recognize Dr. Veronica Barrios, who is our Jessie Bernard Outstanding Contribution to Feminist Scholarship Paper Award. And she won for the paper Future Directions in Intimate Partner Violence and Intersectionality Framework for analyzing women's processes of leaving abusive relationships. So congratulations, Veronica. And then our Jessie Bernard Outstanding Research Proposal from a Feminist Perspective Award goes to Lauren Smithy for her project, Emotional Intimacy in Transition, Transgender, Cisgender Romantic Relationships. Yay. And then our final award that we will also recognize at our conference briefly is the 2020 Alexis J. Walker Award for Lifetime Achievement in Feminist Family Studies goes to Dr. Anissa Zankovic. And she will be giving her what I'm sure will be an inspirational award address at the 2021 conference. So yay to Dr. Zankovic. And then we will again be recognizing all our award winners in our live session.
So as the FFS section secretary and treasurer, I have included the full financial statement from NCFR staff as an attachment for you to review if you're interested. But basically the big takeaway message from these documents, as you can see on our screen, your screen, is that our section is financially secure at this point. Because we actually saved some money through the virtual conference planning this fiscal year, we have more money in our general operating funds than normal, which we can use in future conference planning, perhaps for some exciting special sessions and guest speakers moving forward. The other thing that I want to quickly mention is the Jessie Bernard Awards, which is an entire line item on our financial statement. And these awards are typically funded through a round of Pass the Hat at the FFS section meeting. But because it is 2020 and this is a virtual conference, we will be doing a virtual Pass the Hat. So making your contributions is easier than ever. There's no need to search around for cash or remember your checkbook to the conference this year. You can simply drop your contribution of any amount into the online form on the NCFR website. So if you go to the Feminism and Family Studies section awards page, there are donation buttons that you can see directly on that page following the links to the JB Awards. So if you click on that, it'll prompt you to log in and you can make a donation of any amount specifically to support the Jessie Bernard Awards for the future. There's our virtual hat.
Okay, so that's how we'll pass the hat this time. Okay, in shifting gears now, I wanted to say a little bit about the Feminism and Family Studies in the sessions that we have available on the program. So oftentimes we'll ask the student new professionals to create, a 1 or 2 page document that details what the feminism section presentations are, but it is 2020 and that is a tall ask for anybody. So I did not make that ask, but instead what we're going to do is I'm just going to walk through some of the highlights of the program as it pertains to our section. And I also just want to acknowledge that if you go to the website, if you've started to build your program, you'll see that there's a really cool filter this year to the website. And at the very top, you can see that there's a filter by track. So you can see LGBTQ+ filter at the very top. So thank you, NCFR staff, for embedding that within the searching functions. So you can select all, so you can see the whole program, but you can filter by section, by LGBTQ+ topics, by other orientations, whether it's practitioner or researcher, and so on. So when you filter by the feminism section, it pulls up all of the sessions, paper, workshop, special session, poster, and so on, that's specific to our section, which is very, very handy and cool. I just want to walk through some of the submission trends that we have for this year and kind of contextualize that in the larger picture of NCFR. So the number of slots on the program that each section gets is completely dependent upon the number of submissions to our section. So the more people who submit to our section, there's a lot of S's. The more people who submit to our section, the more slots we have on the program. So that's an important thing to keep in mind when you're considering where your home will be for your proposals in March or January, February, maybe those of you who get them in January. Consider submitting to the feminism section so that we can increase the number of submissions that we receive, and therefore have the greater opportunity of having more excellent feminist scholarship on the program. I will say, though, we do have excellent scholarship across the program, even with presentations that were not submitted through our section. So that's pretty great. So we received 36 proposal submissions. So this is 6% of all submissions. So a relatively small percentage compared to the whole program. This is the same numbers as those submitted in the 2019 session. There was a decrease in submissions in 2020. So the submission deadline March 1st, you know, it's kind of hard to think about what March 2020 was like compared to now. But, you know, this was earlier in the pandemic, so we can't really, we didn't know we were going to have a virtual conference. We didn't know where we were going to be. So this isn't really pandemic driven necessarily. But there's numerous factors that contribute, but you can see here, if you look to San Diego and Florida, those tend to be locations, beach locations, Orlando because of Disney World. These are locations where NCFR in general tends to see a larger number of submissions. So the geographic location or the city in which the conference is being held does seem to impact submissions. But we held steady and luckily had a substantial number of really excellent submissions. So based on the number of people who submitted, we received 5 slots and then 26 poster slots. But through some craftiness and collaboration, as well as some support of Brad and liking some of our ideas and support from NCFR staff, we were able to pick up some sessions. So we have 1 special session, 1 workshop, 1 symposium, 2 interactive paper sessions, and 1 invited speaker session that really is the lead of this is really Pamela Payne, a feminism section member and the current chair of the religion, spirituality, and family section, in our efforts to have some continued collaboration across our sections when the topics are relevant. And then we also have 3 poster sessions that feature feminism, family studies content. So I'm going to briefly highlight some of these sessions. So the first I'm going to highlight, and I'm going in order of the days of the week of the conference. So starting on Wednesday, we kick off the week with a workshop that they say the critical feminist workshop aims to discuss the concept of family privilege and the ways it manifests in everyday discourse about families in the media, policies and laws, scholarly journals, in our classrooms, and in family science more broadly. I am very excited for this workshop being led by Bethany Latique, Kate Blanca, Antoinette Landor, our Jesse Bernard winner, Veronica Barrios, and Nicole Sussner Rogers. So that workshop's going to be really exceptional. We next have our symposium right after this. So we have a feminist section back to back. Our Me Too Time's Up Title IX on College Campus Symposium, led by a variety of speakers, discussants, and including and then also some co-chairs. So in this symposium, they're going to explore how various groups of people can more fully claim their power to end sexual harassment and violence on college campuses. So a really excellent symposium that's that we're going to get to sit through and experience. We have 2 interactive paper sessions. So interactive papers are the brainchild of our program chair and feminism section leader and member Brad Van Eden Moorfield. So we have families as a site of oppression and resistance that I'm going to facilitate, and then we have the LGBTQIA persons, a focus on measurement, families, and well-being that Liz will be facilitating. And in these paper sessions, they are short, much shorter than usual, so 7-minute range. And for this reason, we'll have a lot of time at the end for discussion. The session presenters have created discussion questions, and these will be really interactive. And the families as a site of oppression and resistance, you'll get to see the final results or part of the final results from Sam Allen's dissertation, which was the 2019 Jesse Bernard winner. And then we have a special session on Still Here, Still Queer, Qualitative Research on LGBTQ Aging, featuring many excellent feminist family studies scholars. And in this session, they'll be shifting our attention to qualitative research on later life LGBTQ plus individuals and their families, topics that are typically understudied when compared to those of youth, young adults, and middle adulthood. So this will be really a great special session. And then finally, we have the invited symposium where we're really in the back seat of the religion, spirituality, and family, who are the leaders of this great session on queer in context, featuring many of our excellent feminist family studies scholars. So we have quite a bit going on in the program that we hope that everybody will be able to attend and support and chat and cheer and all the reaction ways and the ways that we show support for our fellow scholars. Finally, we want to highlight, well, not finally, I'm sorry, I'm close to done, not completely done. We want to highlight the GLBTSA focus group. This will be meeting on Thursday, November 12th in the evening, early evening Central Time. We look forward to everybody attending who is able to attend the focus group meeting, a really important segment of our session, of our section, historically and contemporarily. Finally, we want to, I keep saying finally, I'm sorry, I keep giving you the illusion that this is going to end really soon. I want to highlight a new informal gathering, the Black Scholar Flourishing Virtual Cocktail Happy Hour, being facilitated by Antoinette Landor and Anthony James. This will be one of the last kind of sessions on Friday, and this is really going to be a space of celebrating joy. So it'll be less talk about the conference, our scholarship, but more about laughter and fun and celebration and focusing on Black scholar joy. This will be the first of many informal events that NCFR is going to be sponsoring throughout the year, and that Antoinette and Anthony are taking lead on to foster and facilitate this space within NCFR. So for our Black scholars in the feminism section, I really hope that you're able to attend and celebrate some of your excellence and Black joy. And shifting gears for the last portion of this recording, I'm hoping that all of you had previously read the Intersectional Feminist Statement and Admonishment of Anti-Black Racism and our call to action back in June. But for those who haven't or who need a refresher, because this is 2022, oh, it is 2020, which is like a decade long. And so this is just as a brief reminder, as well as helping me to set us up for the conference and our discussions that we're going to be having. At the core of this is this idea that as intersectional feminist family scholars, it is our duty to highlight these interconnected, historically planted, and continually grown systematic injustices in our scholarship and praxis. So these including things like around racism, sexism, heterosexism, homophobia, transphobia, classism, ableism, and so on. So this is really at the crux of what we're doing, and we wanted to have a statement that made that clear while also centering anti-Black racism. So to give you a brief bit, a very brief of like this most recent timeline. So in the fall of 2019 and before, there was discussion within the leadership of our section on and running on a platform of elevating voices of BIPOC scholars and families, particularly centering the experiences of Black women and the ways in which they navigate the world as distinct from the ways in which those of us who have melanin privilege or have been racialized white might navigate the world. So this was an earlier discussion that we were having starting in the winter, spring 2020. We started to develop and foster, continue and then foster new relationships with the racial and ethnic family and diversity section, as well as with families and health on a special session specific to Black women's reproductive justice or injustice, an idea that Abby had at the 2019 conference. We made great progress with our speakers and our local Black doulas in St. Louis, and then COVID happened and we needed to table things because the world just got a little bit more complex for everybody involved. So this will be picking up this discussion for this next conference. And then we fast forward to March and then May when we have the murders of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, who were murdered by police officers. And through these critical moments, similar to the critical moment of Trayvon Martin's murder and the evolution of Black Lives Matter, these two murders really launched renewed interest and emphasis and engaged learning around anti-Black racism. So the Academics for Black Survival and Wellness anti-racism training was launched in June, and many of us were members and participants of this, as well as doing other kinds of research and deep reflection. And through this, we issued a joint statement of the Feminism Family Studies section in the GLBTSA focus group, which documented anti-Black racism, the whiteness within our section, and started to think about a call to action. As we state at the bottom of our document, which was attached along with this recording, this wasn't a single, call to action. This is a call to action, and then we're expecting it to evolve and for us to continue growing as a section over time. So summer and into now, we've created new partnerships within NCFR to support and leverage our privilege to help promote things like the Black survival and thriving and Black joy related informal sessions, and to making sure that we have continued discussion around how we can decenter whiteness and elevate the experiences of our Black NCFR members. We have started to review and propose some bylaw changes that we're going to I'll highlight in a moment. And then we wanted to create specific space for dialogue at our upcoming conference session. So just briefly, I pulled out a segment from our statement, which was acknowledging and not ignoring the elephant in the room, which is that our section leadership is comprised of all racialized white individuals. We documented that this wasn't a fluke, and that thanks to the help of feminism studies historian member Catherine Allen, as well as Maddie Hansen with NCFR staff, we were able to see just the whiteness of our leadership over time, acknowledging Kate Conway Turner, who's now the president of SUNY Buffalo State College, as one of the only Black feminism family studies executive board members. So we've had tremendous leadership in informal ways and other roles through former teaching related leadership roles of Black feminism family studies members, but in general, we do have a role to play in as white feminists in the white supremacy and the ways that it's carried out in academic spaces. And we really want to work harder to address that within our section as we do work to address that within NCFR. So we wanted to name that and discuss how we can move forward, recognizing the roles that we all play. So one of our conclusions is our call to action. So one is the creating of space at the 2020 virtual conference, which we will be doing. And then we've been looking to review our bylaws. And so we have started that process. And so we're working with NCFR to figure out the next steps for doing a email review and vote on our bylaws. And so I just want to bring your attention to two sections that'll be highlighted when you see these, they come out in the email. But our section bylaws are excellent and they have been really well established, and we're just kind of picking up some of the work that we see as how we can be more explicit in our anti-racism work. So we, for example, initially proposed the purpose of the section is to integrate feminist scholarship and perspective into theory, research, and applied work with families. But we also wanted to add teaching and praxis, since we know that praxis is a cornerstone of feminist scholarship. And we also wanted to add that we are committed to promoting scholarship that centers historically and systemically underrepresented populations and feminist scholars from those populations. The section seeks to actively represent such work and such persons in the sessions it sponsors at the annual conference, and its committees it forms, and the NCFR members they recruit for officer positions, committee assignments, and section membership. So making some of our efforts that have been long going on within the section a bit more deliberate and specific. The only other major revision we suggested was, instead of using Robert's Rule of Order, which we looked into and has racist history, but also really doesn't encourage and invite new members to jump in. It's complex, it's clunky, and for people who are new and joining, it can be off-putting and may not promote inclusive dialogue. So we want to have a little bit more flexibility and allow us to use democratic approaches for discussion and decision-making that promote inclusive dialogue and to prioritize space for those who have historically had less power in their voice. So you'll have the opportunity to vote on these two section bylaw changes after the NCFR conference session. So these are some of the steps that we've been taking within our leadership team in the last few months to shift us towards the lifelong goals that were set forth in our statement. So in preparation for the meeting, as it pertains to our statement and call to action, what we're asking of you is to read the statement and the referenced article. These all come as attachments with the materials we're sending out. We encourage you to read them and come with suggestions for how we can live up to our duties in our responsibilities and our obligations as intersectional feminists. We're going to ask that you complete the Google form, which is to share your kudos and your congratulations and announcements. For those of you who have never attended a section meeting before, we start our section towards the beginning of our meetings. We have people stand up and announce professional and personal or personal kudos, celebrations, congratulations, announcements of any kind that you would like to share and have support from your feminist family studies family. So we're gonna do that through a Google form, so you can put that in ahead of time, and then we'll be able to feature those visually for folks. And then you're also able, if you're in a financial position where you're able to do so, you can contribute to the Jesse Bernard Award through our virtual Pass the Hat. So with that being said, we look forward to seeing all of you virtually on Wednesday, November 11th from 5:15 to 6:15 Central Time. We are hoping that everybody comes prepared and energized as much as you can possibly be during this incredibly difficult and strenuous and exhausting time. We hope you all are finding ways to take care of yourself, to engage in resistance if that's your cup of tea, to engage in rest and recovery and self-preservation, because we all need each other for this long haul fight. And with that being said, we will say goodbye and we will see you soon.